to Talking Dirt, and we'd like to welcome Bert Myrin to the show, a local Aspen, and joined with a group of activists to limit the variances that developers can ask for. Is that correct?
Correct. Only in the commercial and the lodging zoning in town. So not single family, not duplex, not anywhere else, and only east of Castle Creek. So a very limited area.
And for people that don't know, variances are?
Variances are beyond the code. So the code sets a height, and a FAR, which is a mass, parking requirements, and housing requirements. And so those are the four that we wanted to limit beyond which would need a vote.
So it's a request for a rule change.
It's a request that the rules be followed that exist currently, and then automatically a referendum would occur for anything beyond those rules.
So sorry, I said that wrong. A variance is a request for a change of rules.
A variance is a special request to go beyond the rule for that particular project. So it's a one-off request. And so rather than one-off requests, we're trying to get to a system that would apply per zone. So that's the goal.
So what drove the petition? What drove you to come up with this?
Well, Telluride did something similar. Telluride has protected their downtown by eliminating some of the variance ability. So it's more predictable for buyers and sellers and realtors and attorneys, and everyone knows what's going to be out there. When they buy a property, they can look at the rules, and they can have some expectation going forward what the rules are.
Is this a pushback from what's happening?
It's a pushback from the 1:30 a.m. council meetings where everything is negotiated one at a time rather than and lawsuits, and everything is a one-off decision rather than setting a zone like for single family throughout town. You know what the rules are, you go in, you match the rules, you build a single family home. For commercial and lodge, there seem to be no rules, and the negotiations go on forever, and the divisiveness that creates is not good for the community.
So what you're suggesting is that a certain variance request would be brought before the voters.
If something goes beyond the code, so if I'm suggesting the council write some code that matches what their goals are, and then applicants, developers, neighbors, everyone would know what the code is. Realtors could say you're buying something with this expectation, and then beyond that, if council wanted something like the St. Regis, for example, then it might go to the voters, and the St. Regis was supported by the voters. So sometimes I would expect every 5 or 10 years, not every day, something would go to the voters.
So you think right now a developer goes under contract on a piece of property and he says, yeah, I know what they say I can build here, but he runs all of his math and all of his proposals on what he thinks he can get passed, as opposed to what it currently exists.
That's the challenge. And so the developers and buyers have no stability in their purchase. There's no way to negotiate something if you don't know what the outcome is. And so you might as well be in Vegas gambling. And what I'd like to lend to the system is some stability to it. So when a buyer buys and a seller sells, they can look at the opportunity to build and figure out what they need for a profit and go from there. So.
Are you concerned at all about some unintended consequences, like voters voting on issues they're really not familiar with?
I think it won't go to the voters unless it has council support. So we'll have to have council support, and it would be almost as if you did a regular referendum on a project, but rather than the divisiveness of a referendum after something went through council, they had council support. It wouldn't be dividing the community by petitioning for a referendum. It would just automatically refer. And I think with 100% council support, the community probably would get behind like they did on the St. Regis or other things. I think the community understands when things are a good idea and when things aren't.
We've got staff, and now we're starting to see the council is even coming up with their own amendment to the charter. A little pushback, or at least we see these things coming to the market. I mean, everybody's starting to talk about it.
Right. So you're making waves there, Bert.
Well, it's the community making waves. Day 1, it was my idea. Day 10 of signatures, it was the community's idea. So it's no longer mine, it belongs to the community, and I'm baffled by council's direction. So
It was 10 days, 1,000 voters,
Thousands.
so it's a really
100,
hot topic.
Yeah,
We'd
people
like to-
obviously really care.
We'd like to thank you for sharing what you got. We appreciate it, and we'll be right back with Talking Dirt.
thank you.